I'm Rubye Kendrick.
All right.
And I am the incoming president of the Tyler Smith County League of Women Voters as of yesterday.
Oh, yay! Congratulations.
So we are excited to have this opportunity to have a conversation with you. As you know, the League of Women Voters, our primary mission is to empower voters and defend democracy. And in that vein of empowering voters, that includes voter education, in addition to voter registration. So our Coffee With series, we've been interviewing. We actually started out with the city council.
Okay.
And we have now moved to the school board. So, and your name came up this time.
Okay, well.
And so again, as an effort again to keep our community educated about our elected officials. And two colleagues are here, and I'll let them introduce themselves, and then we'll get started.
Okay.
Marilyn?
My name is Marilyn Wills, and I'm the past president.
as of yesterday.
Rubye's, coming in. We actually shared the presidency.
We did.
And
been an awesome mentor, so I'm ready.
She's ready. So anyway, and Dee is with us, and she's going to tell you about who she is.
But I'm, of course, a member of the Tyler Alumni Chapter, Delta Sigma Theta, the immediate past president, and I've been working with the League of Women Voters on several of their projects, One Guide, and also this Coffee With series. So looking forward to more activities with them, and good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while, but
All right. And so we just have a few questions, and Marilyn's going to start us off.
Okay. Well, you know that you just had a bond election and it was successful. And that's a wonderful thing. But can you give us your perspective on the unique magnet and select schools that are in the district, and also the early college high school? Tell us about that too.
Yes. Well, we have Birdwell dual language school K through 8th now, and they specialize in dual language, specifically Spanish. And so that's a great opportunity for kids to get English and Spanish immersion. It's not heavily populated by races outside of Hispanic. So we're trying to get more people of different cultures to attend this school, and so that they can learn the dual language process from preschool on up to 8th grade, which is a great opportunity for our community. And then a Caldwell Arts Academy, which is known all over the state of Texas for their arts, their things of the arts. And so they've had numerous recognitions, and that's open to anybody. So anybody in the district can attend these schools. You just have to put in an application, and you have to provide transportation if it's not your school zone.
Okay.
So if it's not your school zone, you're responsible for transportation. So then we have the Career and Technology Center, of course. That's the students are bused from Legacy and Tyler High. They're bused from there, and so they get the opportunity to take all of the engineering classes, anything they want to do, beauty shop. They can get a beauty license before they graduate high school. Wow, they can do refrigeration, all of those, ROTC, and they've won numerous awards as well. And so that's open to high school students from both Legacy and Tyler High. Excuse me, I kind of keep from saying.
I know.
It's kind of hard. And so they bust them over there. So the problem being that they would have to go over there, and it's no cafeteria there. They have the culinary school, but they didn't have a cafeteria. So the kids would either have to eat before they get there or get back to school and rush and eat before they go to classes. So that's been a problem since they've been there. I don't know who designed the school, but they didn't have that in mind. I don't know if they had the idea that the culinary students will supply food. So that's been a problem. And of course, we have Wayne Boshure School that's connected to Jones for kids with special needs or disabilities. So we do have that school, and it's all year round for kids that are have special needs, profound special needs. They have a graduation. It's just an awesome experience. If you've never been to one of their graduations, it's just absolutely awesome. They show their life spectrum from when they were younger to the age they are now. And the parents are always raving about, they moved here specifically for that school so that their special needs child could get the education and the help that they needed. So it's just a moving experience when you hear the parents and how they are so excited and thankful that TISD has a school where their special needs child can go, feel accepted, and learn some skills and strategies that will help them even through their disabilities. And of course,
the Jones School?
It's next to Jones. So it's a connected, they tried to connect it for immersion so that they can see regular kids doing different things. So if you look at Jones to the right, it's the Jones Elementary. And then if you go to the left, Wayne Brochure School is right there. And so they share like some common things, but they are two separate schools.
Quick question, did this used to be
St. Louis
program? Okay, all right, you knew where I was going. Okay.
Yeah, it was over there where now Head Start is in that building, I believe now. So
yes.
House, I believe. So they moved there as soon as Jones moved in. They moved in. So that was the object of building that school, to try to get the kids to see some, not just be by themselves in a special learning environment, but they can be immersed with some of the quote unquote regular kids.
Okay, I grew up in Troop, Texas, and I have actually have a cousin whose daughter cerebral palsy, severe, and so they brought her to when it was at St. Louis. That's where she
well, it's, they have horseback riding. It's just an awesome experience. If you haven't been over there, you would enjoy just the love that you have for those students. They really do have a great love. My hat goes off to them. I was a special ed teacher, but not that deep as they are. That takes a lot of patience and practice and praying. So
it's a whole special, it's a special skill set. It's truly a heart for.
And then we have Rise Academy that's housed in A.T. Stewart School. We have Rise Academy, and those are for students that may have to work or have special challenges, and so they have to go to school on their own pace. It used to be the old PACE, if you guys remember PACE. So now it's called Rise Academy. And so it's housed in the back of A.T. Stewart, and early college is in the front. So they actually are housing two schools. And the Rise students, most of them drive to school. They may come in and take some classes on the computer, and then they have to go to work. One young man that just graduated, he was taking care of his 7 brothers and sisters. So he had to work, and he was able to complete his classes. So I like Rise as well. So when they build a new early college, which will be housed by the CTE on that property, so that now they can have a cafeteria, because if you build a cafeteria, if you build a cafeteria in early college, they can so they'll be connected by a walkway. And I'm excited with early college, and I think that parents don't push it enough because they want their kids to be in sports. So in early college, you really basically are not, you don't have time for sports, because you're taking classes from Tyler, and you're also going to Tyler Junior College. So a lot of the students from Caldwell like that idea, because they also get to use the fine arts areas at Tyler Junior College, and they like that those areas, so they can specifically look at something they want to be in. If it's theater, so they get a college viewpoint. But I love that idea that you go through high school, and when these students graduate, they get a degree from Tyler Junior College, an AA, and then they have a high school diploma. So that cuts out 2 years of financial money for college. You go to college as going in your 3rd year. So it's just an awesome experience. And I think a lot of our kids don't participate because our parents want to push them. And I'm saying a lot of kids of color and a lot of white students don't go because their parents want to push them in sports. And see, they don't get a chance to play sports in this area. And so if I try to push students that they don't care about sports, they don't, it's like, look, you need to be trying to get into early college so that you can have this experience and do that. So I think TISD needs to push that more for students. The Hispanic population takes full advantage of it. And the other populations that we don't.
That's quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, and so it'll be built right there next to CTE. So I think, and early college, our early college is the #1 in the state of Texas.
Wow.
That's how good they are.
Is there promotional, I'm sorry, we getting hung up on this one question, but it's so interesting, but is there promotional material related to the early college? I mean,
It definitely is, and they definitely try to push through Abbott, Abbott on the elementary to try to prepare kids for college. So we push it. Sports is just a big thing in Texas, a really big, we go to school for sports. Education just happened to get in the way.
That's secondary.
And I think it's leadership on campuses need to push it. Kids listen to leadership. So I think leadership needs to push it. Teachers need to push it. If you have specific kids that that are awesome and they don't want to do sports, to start pushing them that way. Because academically they have to be up to par. Anybody just can't go if they can't handle the workload. So that's another area. But if you see a student with potential and that sports is just not their thing, then it should be, hey, let's go over there. And they do trips in 8th grade, but to me, 8th grade is too late because you're already making your mind up by 8th grade where you want to attend school. So I think in the early grades, like 5th and 6th grade, they should start preparing them and giving them a visit through early college. So those are our specialty schools.
All right.
Well, that was a good overview. Thank you.
That's good to know too. A lot of organizations have mentor groups that, start that young. So that's good to know that we can guide them in that direction if they're not.
And if you want some pamphlets or anything, I can gather up information for you.
That would be great, actually.
That would not be a problem. I can get information because the more you know, the more you grow. And so we're trying to grow our community. So that would be perfect.
Awesome.
And that's a great segue into my question.
Okay.
What mechanisms does the district have in place or plan to put in place to encourage students from varied backgrounds in different schools to interact?
Well, and I saw that and I thought that was a neat idea to try to do that. But my thing is I worked at 3 Lakes. And so when 3 Lakes started in 2015, they shut down Stewart. So we were at Stewart. So most of the faculty most of the minorities, I'll say, from Stewart went to 3 Lakes. And so when we went to 3 Lakes, it was 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. It was African Americans, Hispanics, and whites. It was just the most inclusive school. But the problem is, and I find that in all the schools, you want them to, mingle with other schools, but they don't know each other. They don't know the people in their own schools because some of them are bused. A great percentage of 3 Lakes, they were bused from over here by Stewart and a little bit off of Old Chandler Highway in that area. And so when the kids ride the bus, they have to leave school. So they don't get the opportunity to come back for parties. They don't get the opportunity to come back for dances because they don't have a ride. And so I think it's important to intermingle in schools, but I also think it's important for students in their own schools to get a chance to know the students that are being there. So that we started doing things like having things at 3:30. So that, meet and greet out there on the courtyard. So the kids can kind of get to know each other because it was the haves and the have-nots. You ride the bus, you can't stay after, you can't participate in certain sports and activities. So I admire schools trying to get to know other schools. And it's going to always be that competition, especially in middle school. They don't care if you go to Moore. You're in competition with 3 Lakes and you're in competition with Hubbard and you're in competition with Hall. So I love that idea, but I would like to see it more generated within school first, because when I was looking up and we were talking about Tyler schools, and I remember when we came to how the schools were South and North. The South was majority one race and the North was majority another race. But listen to our statistics, and I thought this was interesting. We're 20% white, 48% Hispanic, 28% African American, and then 1% Asian and 1% Native American. So our schools are interchangeably, we're not one race anymore. We are integrated. And so what can we do to make every school feel that I'm a part of that school, no matter what part of town I'm on? If I happen to have to go to 3 Lakes, do I feel a part of Three Lakes? Or do I feel a part of Jack? Or do I feel a part of Owens? Or do I feel a part of Dixie? And so we are an integrated school. And whereas we used to say, oh, they want to build Hubbard, they're going to make Hubbard better than they made Three Lakes and Boulter, you know, on the Black side of town. But Hubbard is, again, you know, a lot of minorities are there at all of these schools. And so I think all of our kids need to learn each other as a community and focus on, you're here at this school and you're a part of our family. You're a part of this school community, and how can we make this better as a school? And so with those statistics, I just think we should try to get schools to love each other first and then branch out, if that's possible.
Interesting you mentioned that, because the Texas African American Museum met with the TISD about what the name of the schools. A lot of schools don't know why they're named what they're named. And so just to start out with a brief history of why is Pete called Pete, or why is Stewart called Stewart, that incites pride in the school, and that's across the board for all ethnicities. And the other thing was to look at holidays that are specific to all of the different diversities that are there. Everybody's doing Cinco de Mayo, or everybody's doing, you know, something for Juneteenth, which people are out of school by Juneteenth. But I mean, when you bring up those holidays and those months that are designated for different ethnicities, that would increase the awareness within each school, you know, that they take advantage of.
And just don't make it reading something. You know, when it's Women History Month, they'll come on and read. And, you know, half the kids don't pay attention to announcements.
Exactly.
Like blah, blah. It's like a Charlie Brown voice. So make it meaningful to me. When it's, you know, Women's Month, make it meaningful. When it's Black History Month, make it meaningful. And to me, it should go on all year round, not just that month, but we should be highlighting people of different cultures all year round to show that, you know, it's just not a month thing and we through with you. It's a one-day thing, we through with you. But integrating stuff all year round.
That just gave me an idea for the league. But great, thank you. It's my time now. I'm so excited. Okay, so and what do you see as a target issue or issues that will impact Tyler ISD students in the next 5 years? And you probably, some of what you just said might fall into that category. And what actions is the school board doing to address these or those things?
Okay. So, you know, with COVID, that put, the blessing was that TISD did not stop school. Some areas did not go to school, but after that first initial getting out, it was 2020, after spring break, nobody went back to school. And then we started schools and some areas did not start school. But we saw when we started school that you still have that problem with poverty, that I might give them a computer, but they don't have internet. That's a new point to have. And so we tried to ask like maybe different churches to put a tower on their church so people can come in the rural areas and maybe sit in the parking lot. And I said, that's still a problem, because if I have to work, I can't sit in the parking lot with you all day to do homework. So it's just still a problem to me. Even if I can drive up to a TISD school, I may not have a car. So we're still dealing with the issues of internet services. The good thing is every child, every student in TISD has an electronic device. That's the good thing.
Okay.
And so if we ever have to stop again, we're prepared. It's just the internet services with that. Reading is always a problem. So since COVID, it has become a tremendous problem. Because you think about that class that stopped after spring break, that's when kindergartners learn basic reading. I don't care what you do, you cannot teach reading through Zoom. That's just challenging and difficult. And so you had that group that were in first grade, they were just starting to learn after spring break, but they didn't come back after spring break. So that's a whole group of students that went on to first grade that didn't have those reading skills. So they're in first grade now, getting ready to go to second grade. So the scores are not looking too good for reading. And so they've been doing a number of things. They made Jones, Orr, Ramey, Pete, Boulter, and Hogg. They call those the J-Pro schools. So if really good teachers work at those schools, if you saw at the last board meeting, they can make up to $23,000 extra a year for the next 5 years. If you are a master teacher, if you are an exemplary teacher, if your student scores are good, along with your regular salary, you can make like $6,000 extra for the next 5 years, all the way up to $24,000 extra if you're an exemplary teacher. So they're trying to get teachers that are quote unquote master teachers to come to these schools and work to help build up these scores. So you get the money by preparing students. And so it's going to be very challenging because you know, trying to get students there, but it's just, reading is just challenging. And so they're trying that way, they're testing them. They're trying to see if they can do tutorials. It's challenging to me because as a student, you're already tired, and then you want to keep me after school another 45 minutes to read. That's not happening. So we have to think of something better. And to me, summer is the something better. If we can get those parents to come to school in the summer, they're trying the summer programs, mentoring minds. So they're challenging them to give like 200 free, pay for 200 kids so that they can come to the summer programs, get reading, get math, and work with them those summers. We tried it last summer, and the problem is parents. The kids won't come, or they skip and they're not sporadic. And so we couldn't do anything to say it's mandatory that you come every day. So I think we have to get to the parents and say, you know, this is important for your child. So we need you to get your child. They provided buses. They got free breakfast and lunch, but it was just unbelievable that they might come Monday, but they may not come Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. They might come Friday, and that doesn't help anybody. And so we have to get to the parents. We have to say, this is important for your child because your child can't read, or your child has a discipline problem. What can we do to help him or her? And so they're trying.
So PTA still exists? I mean, are those the venues?
That's a whole nother story.
Okay.
PTAs, we just now, Tyler High is just now getting one back. Dixie is just now getting one back. Jones is just now getting one back. Both of is just now getting one back. One, mismanagement of funds. Two, you know, finding people to do it that are going to do it and not get into trouble. So we got all that straight. Everybody's starting on a new foot. And so hopefully we can build through PTA, but it was mismanagement of funds, trouble getting people to participate. So they basically, and all the northern schools basically had to start again.
Wow.
They're just now starting up their PTAs again. So it's not the, and that's really sad. It's not that. I've worked at Stewart and Bolter. No, you know, teacher appreciation, you don't get anything. You work in the South schools, you might have a spread every day. You might get Christmas, you might, so the difference is very evident. Our PTA at 3 Lakes, when I was there, we had like $79,000. The PTA over here, you know, if they have $100.
Wow.
You know, it's just a difference. So we have to get our parents to know that PTA does not mean you have to come up to school every 2 minutes. We have to explain to them that PTA is parent teacher association participation, you know, get involved. And our parents don't, it's sad to say, our parents don't see it that way. And that's kind of sad.
So even if they're presented, and I'm gonna move on off of this, but even if they are presented with, you know, the child's scores and kind of my deal. So we were at my organization, sorority was at, where were we? Ramey. Last week, and delivering some snacks and books to the 5th graders.
Okay.
And you know, as I'm walking down the hallway, I'm looking at the scores that are posted on the wall, and my heart just sank. It's like, okay. And so, but what I think I hear you saying is, even, you know, parents even understanding that, say the reading program, you know, this is where your child is, this would be beneficial. That still is, I mean, although I do realize that, you know, folk have 5 jobs and, you know, sometimes getting, but that.
But we will practice them in basketball all night long. We will put them in summer leagues. We will stay after school for them. We will do any of the sports, those little league, soccer. They up at 7 in the morning for 10 games. But when you say, you know, I need you to read for your child with your child 30 minutes a night. That's all I'm asking you. 15 to 30 minutes. Oh, that's too much. I can't. It's just the priorities are screwed up. You know, before you know, 15 minutes. And I said, read. You know, sit next to them. Read, but don't let them read to you because they make up their own stories. I need you to sit next to them. And so we don't think it's important until it's not, we think it's not important until it's important.
Wow.
And you have a background of being a teacher, so you know some of the tricks that are out there for that.
Wow.
So I'll move to the next question.
Okay, sorry, I'm taking so long.
No, I'm not helping the situation. I'm sorry.
This is good. This is what it's supposed to be, is a
Okay.
discussion. So school board, as you know, is an elected position, and it's nonpartisan, which we really like.
Right, it's supposed to be anyway.
It's supposed to be, right. So, but what does that mean to you, nonpartisanship in your role as a school board member, but in a broader role as a community leader?
And I think it's awesome, and I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. So if y'all need a helping hand, I'm available.
Oh, but did you hear that?
Yes, I am available. But I think it's more than, and I'm glad it's that, because it's our kids. This is our community. These are our children. So I can't go up there and say, I'm a Democrat, this should happen this way, or I'm a Republican, this should happen this way. I want what's best for all students of TISD. Our mission is success for all students. So if one fail, we all fail. And so I like that part, that I'm there to represent all students, and I'm there to look at the interests for the people in District 3. I represent District 3. So if they have a concern or if they have an issue, I represent them as well. But when I'm on the board, I represent all students. But if you have a specific problem, and even if you're not in my district, if you have a specific problem and I feel like it needs to be addressed, I'm going to talk to the superintendent about it. We need to do this, or we need to have this. So it's for the better of Tyler, the betterment of Tyler. It's not just, if District 3 does well and nobody else does well, we still failures. And so I like it that it's not, because I don't have to worry about, oh, she's a Democrat, oh, she's a Republican, I'm not going to vote for her. But I'm voting for somebody that's going to help represent our school district and do what's best for our children. And everything's under attack. Books, and, you can't hardly say anything, or, books that are, Ruby Bridges books that people are just going flat crazy about every little thing. And that's not helpful for our students. We have to talk to them about certain things. That's part of life. And we don't want our students to have life. So I'm here I love it because I can represent everybody, but I'm here to represent the students.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I believe we're back to me.
All right. Okay.
And this is right on time too. How have the STAR test disruptions in the last 2 years changed how the district evaluates teachers and how the board evaluates itself?
Okay. So when COVID started, TISD started a new T-test, it's called, evaluation system. And so it's a little more not so subjective. I was in TISD 38 years. And so the form of evaluation they use, they had a document, but if you liked me, I can get a really good evaluation. And if you didn't like me, I can get a very poor evaluation. This one is specifically the data. It's specifically looking at this target, and this target. It just teaches them to evaluate teaching on their teaching skills and not on if you like me or not. So that's a good thing, I think, for us. Not having STAR, we test so much with benchmarks, every month they were testing for benchmarks. So we still had benchmarks, and I don't want the STAR test to hinder them, but we have to have a way to evaluate students. That's just all it is. We have to see what you know and what you don't know, and what you know in comparison to schools that are your size and to areas that are your size. So I'm in agreement with testing. It's just how they use the test. And that's not the sole thing for you to fail or not pass because you fail STAR. That just shows me that I'm not doing something right, or you don't know how to take a test. And people will say, oh, teachers are teaching a test. You can teach the materials, but if I don't know how to go in there and choose and pick and determine what's the correct answer, because believe you me, I've had some adults fail the STAR test. It is hard. And so if you're in, I had 6th grade, the test is written on an 8th grade level. So if you're already a deficient student in 6th grade reading, I had some 6th graders that read on the 2nd grade level. So they're already deficient. And then you're taking the test that's 2 years higher. So it's a struggle, it's challenging, but we need some way to evaluate. So I think it made us choose other things to help prepare our students. I think it's made us notice that we need to do something else besides just a benchmark, but we're doing this benchmark. Where are they and what can we do to help them with a skill that they're missing, not just a test question. So I think it has helped us evaluate. And I like that the board's theme is still success for all students. So our challenge has been to look at the scores and say, well, how can these students at this school get to be more successful? So they might need to be reading 2 hours instead of doing something else. So maybe I can integrate science and social studies into reading and knock out 2 or 3 things. So I think the challenges has been, do we follow the norm or do I say, my class needs this, they need math, they can't do math. So hey, on the Tuesday, can I do 3 hours of math? And maybe on the Wednesday, make up and integrate science and social studies with a reading lesson. So I think it's giving schools an opportunity to see what their students actually need and to follow up on those needs. So that's been kind of a good thing. And STAR is changing again. Now it's going to get harder.
Yeah,
I think they're changing it next
year. Why?
Because our government has nothing else to do. So, so they're looking at another, as kids master it, they think, oh, they've mastered it, so let's move up a little bit harder. And so it's going to be another one coming out soon.
Okay.
Yes.
You can see, I mean, I'm in the medical profession, the education piece, but that just baffles me. That just baffles me. It does, because, it does. Anyway, last question. What kind of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts are happening across the district?
So, well, you already, from the statistics that we are already diversified. I would like to see, and we're discussing that in the board, more diversity efforts, more in hiring practices. We have we have 17,721 students, and the minority teachers are not, we don't have that many minority teachers, especially in the younger grades. And I remember specifically, I came to TISD in 1982. And I remember applying for a job at Griffin. And the lady told the principal, I'm not gonna mention her name, who was there, she was the assistant principal. She said, we've already hired our number of Blacks. And Griffin is a Black school. I mean, hey, hello, And so I think we still run into, and I've talked to a whole bunch of people that Tyler didn't hire African-American minority teachers to teach K and 1. They didn't think we were capable of teaching the main skills. And so our goal is to get more minority teachers in. I just think that our kids need to see kids that look like, teachers that look like us and not just custodians and cafeteria workers. So in that respect, diversity, I think we need to step it up in hiring. Need more males, more.
I was about to ask.
And so if the pay gets better, but you can see how a male trying to raise a family will be hard on 50,000. I think they're trying to get 50,000 for starting pay. So the pay is not good. The hours and the work is good, but it's just those things. So I think I think the schools are diversified. Now we have to get the staff diversified, and then we have to get some of the curriculum diversified. That it's not just a one-show thing, but we're inclusive of everybody and of everything, and teach real history. Don't teach made-up stuff. Teach her story as well as his story, and do that. So I think the board needs to work more on getting diversified and. Even in our administration and up top, we just need a diversification all over, curriculum, everything to include all people. And so I think we need to work more on that in that process to me. So we're not there. We're not where we need to be, to me, in diversifying things. We're still not there. But it's going to be a constant work.
Do you think the COVID money could help in that way by hiring extra teachers or?
Right, he's been, and I'll give it to him. We've been using the COVID money to do those things and do things for students, but they're just not out there. Nobody's dying to be a teacher with all this going on with behavior problems and so trying to find them. I teach a couple of classes at UT Tyler for incoming teachers, and it's like, we need you, we need you to do. So it's hard to find them, and hard to find people that, that dying to get to Tyler.
Yeah.
So to me, when they, go into college, and when you're talking to high school students, we need you in education. We need you to look into that. So we've been looking. It's just nobody wants to be in education now. It's really, and sometimes it's good to me, and sometimes it's poor that you get, they can get an alternative certification. So if I was a doctor, I can come in and teach science. But I always looked at teaching as a career. So are you looking at it as a career or a job? I need this job right now.
Yeah.
And so it's just nobody wants to go into teaching. And so it's hard. A couple of districts up their money to $60,000 to begin for teachers. And you definitely can't find aides. It's just children. I don't know if it's because of COVID or this because they BAD. I don't know what the solution is, but that teachers don't want to teach. They're leaving. They might go in 1 or 2 years and they're gone. So we have to recruit. We have to go to these HBCUs and say, hey, your education department, look at teaching and give them. When you leave out of the classroom and you go into a teaching classroom, it's like night and day. Some of them are in shock, like, I didn't know these kids, I didn't know this. So we need to give them some, what I call real experiences, and let them see that this is what you're getting yourself into. But we need to recruit at more historically Black colleges, or, go to the museum and sit out and say, hey, are you interested in being a teacher? Go to the high schools and say, hey, are you interested in teaching? We'll cultivate you. We'll give you a scholarship if you go and promise to come back and teach at TISD for your first year at least. So we need to offer some incentive for people to go into education.
Yeah, I know the principal at Rubye was sharing with me that they have a behavioral, can't remember the title.
Adaptive behavior.
Like it's a counselor, but it's I think she called it a behavioral specialist, maybe.
When they got the COVID money, they could end up hiring counselors that just dealt with specific behavior. So we did because the school counselor has to do all the school stuff. So we did hire some extra counselors to come in.
And she seemed to think that was being very effective at that campus.
Right.
And
but the problems of kids. So you're thinking one person with 400 kids and maybe 200 of them got problems. So to me, it's a start, but COVID has caused a lot of stuff to surface. And so, we need that. And then with inclusion, state of Texas has inclusion. So we have this adaptive behavior unit where those kids, are immersed into the classroom. So sometimes, they'll go off into, throwing chairs or doing. So if you have all that going on, you trying to teach, it's just challenging. And so we might have to start
different than back in our day, because these kids, I mean, there's just
it's the whole mine was you throw that chair, that's gonna be the last chair.
I mean, and I can see, I mean, if there's no structure at home, if there's no, you don't have, this is a set time that we're gonna do this, this is a set time, and then you come to school and you're expected to, stay in line, like the teacher tells you to stay in line and do this at a certain time, and
it's a different society.
So now they got to come and.
And I've been tutoring. You were talking about the program. I tutored at Boulter last summer, and I've been tutoring. And it's interesting. I only have 4 kids for 45 minutes, 2 days a week. They're coming from a class of 20. And I'm just sitting there going like, oh my God, all day long, every day. And, these are first graders, and they're hyper anyway. Not hyper, but I mean, they're active.
Right. They're active anyway.
Our society does not, because of social media, the attention span is very short. And it's a constant
and they expect you to be like, I said, I'm not social media. I'm not going to sing and dance for you. Right. So I need you to get this information.
Creative to keep them engaged is very interesting. So I'm with you on that. But I do like the idea of trying to encourage or give incentives for young people coming out of college to at least give education a shot, rather than just a job because I can't find anything in my field, but because there is a need for that. There's a, like you said, they've got talents, and we just need to get young people more engaged or interested.
And the interesting thing is the state has changed its laws. Usually an educator can take the test as many times as they wanted to. Now you get 5 chances. If you don't pass in 5 chances, you're out. You know, you've gone to school all this time and they're telling you if you don't pass this test, and some people are just not test takers.
Exactly.
You don't pass this test. So you can imagine it's your fourth try and your job is on the line and you have to take, and you have to pay each time. So it's like $200 each time. So you're paying to fail the test, and they, you know, you don't get to take the questions that you missed. You got to start all over again with 130 questions. And so that's stressful for a lot of people. So it's just a stressful time. So
wow.
Mm.
Well, I apologize for us going over, but it's it's just been so exciting and informative talking with you. And, you know, as you were speaking, and obviously, you know, one thing just led to another. And so,
but I'm in Women League of Voters. So if you need me, you have my information.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. So